Hola chicos y chicas, soy RKB o Espoto Overlaro Tequila Boyd y básicamente yo lo veis para documentar mi vida. Hola chicos y chicas, my name is RKB or Espoto the Way to Car Boy and basically videos to document my life. Welcome to Live Videos RKB who basically videos to document my life. Today's video, as you saw on the screen, is a Bible study video from my Take a Closer Look for Women book by Jan Kern. And today's topic is Perplexed and at Peace. I originally did this Bible study specifically October 22nd, 2015 at 1:21 a.m. So when I was doing these, I would always date them and put the time. Sometimes I would even put my age, but in 2015 I had to be 19, 18. I don't really, it feels so long ago, but I don't remember, okay? Okay, so it always starts off with the Bible quote. At the top it says, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know what is the way of the wind, or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child, so you do not know the works of God who makes everything. That is from, excuse me if I butcher this, Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verses 4 through 5 in the NKJV, or the New King James Version. Okay, so now we're going to head to the big picture, and we're going to start this section. In the early days of his reign, Solomon dedicated his kingdom to God and sought his wisdom at a place called Gibeon. God asked Solomon in a dream to name what he wanted to receive. Solomon humbly asked for understanding and discernment. God replied, quote, I will give you a wise and discerning mind, end quote. Further, because he had not asked for them, God gave Solomon unmatched riches and honor. He made one request: remain faithful, keep my commandments. King Solomon demonstrated his wisdom through the administration of his kingdom and the execution of God's plans to build the temple in Jerusalem. He studied sciences and wrote proverbs and songs. He was renowned for his insightful judgment. But then he began to grapple with the possibilities of wealth, honor, possessions, and pleasure. After much extravagant living, he set out to study the meaning of life. He wrote a book which was his way of gathering his listeners to tell them, quote, Behold, this is what I found, end quote. At times, his Ecclesiastic, I'll put this one on the screen, proverbs poured lightly from his pen, but his discourses were heavy with reminders of the futility of his pursuits. He had concluded that riches and honors were meaningless, like, quote, chasing after the wind, end quote. They could be good, possibly, if one were blessed by God. He then told his listeners how they could make the most of their life in the meaningless world. He said the future was uncertain, and since gathering riches was meaningless, they would do well to share their abundance. He also advised them to be diligent in all they did. For the latter, he turned to images of wind and rain. Both were inevitable and beyond anyone's control. Since that was the case, he encouraged his listeners to be diligent and to work hard. Beyond anyone's comprehension were God's mysteries, patterns of the wind, like patterns of the wind, or how a baby develops in the womb. He advised that these mysteries not be deterrents to their diligence either. King Solomon then spoke briefly to his younger listeners. He concluded by saying that wisdom itself was profound and difficult to discern. Even more, God's ways were complex, and much would remain a mystery. So at the end of his searching, the king reached back to the directive once given in a dream: fear God and keep his commandments. Living this out, he said, was what most mattered. And then I put like a little comment on the side, and I put, don't try to know everything. You never will. At the bottom of the page, there's a little quote by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which quotes, start quote, Earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God, but only he who seeks takes off his shoes. The rest sit around and pluck blackberries, end quote. So now I'm on the part where it says take a closer look. And that's what we're going to go ahead and get into. So take a closer look. Quote, a chasing after the wind, end quote, was one of Solomon's most repeated descriptions of the futility of pursuing anything apart from God. But in one place he said, quote, you do not know the way of the wind, end quote. This offered an important picture for Solomon. It was as if he was saying, quote, take a moment to look at the elusive world another way, end quote. See how it shows the great mystery of God's ways. Solomon paired the way of the wind with the wonder of how a baby is formed in the womb. At that time, these were two entirely hidden and unobservable events. Meteorologists weren't appearing on nightly newscasts to explain wind patterns. Doctors with intricate instruments didn't provide pictures of a baby's first days in the womb. These were, and in many ways still are, extraordinary mysteries. And then I put like a little asterisk by this next portion. Solomon used these wonders to illustrate that no person can control the mysteries and plans of God ever. Let me reread that. That's why I put that little asterisk there. Let me reread that so you can get the full effect. Solomon used these wonders to illustrate that no person can control the mysteries and plans of God ever. He didn't want his readers to waste their time, as he felt he had, trying to understand. Instead, through wonders like the wind, he showed them that God and his ways were too big to grasp, and that was okay. They could be at peace and get back to making the most of their time. So there's a little quote at the side here by Dennis Covington, which quotes, quote, mystery is not the absence of meaning, but the presence of more meaning that we can comprehend, end quote. So now we're on the apply it to your life portion. Like I said, all of the quotes and all of the verses and stuff will be at the description box of this video, as well as in the discussion tab on my page. So let's go ahead into the apply it to your life portion. Wind. It has retained its mystery, but is considered more of an everyday wonder. Except for your local meteorologist, there likely aren't many you know who contemplate its intricacies. I'll put this word up on the screen. You, on the other hand, might have more pressing questions on your mind. The practical mysteries of the ways of God and the activities of your day, or simply in you. Think for a moment about what bothers you regarding the way God works. He can seem quite confusing. Solomon's lessons of the wind can help. He was right. That blustery, invisible air that tangles your hair or topples your plotted plants is elusive and incomprehensible. You can't put your hands on it. Just when you think you figured out where it is, it moves. It can't be controlled. Wind, like the rest of God's wonders, explodes the boundaries of your wisdom. But here's where you begin to catch a glimpse of the largeness of God. Instead of being frustrated by the limits of your understanding, you bask in the wonder of your mysteries. And I guess I put an asterisk here for this whole part, so let me reread that. But here's where you begin to catch a glimpse of the largeness of God. Instead of being frustrated by the limits of your understanding, you bask in the wonder of the mysteries. The beyond you-ness of your questions brings peace to the not knowing all the answers. The one who does know is in control, and he is big. So there's a quote at the bottom. It's Isaiah chapter 40, verse 26 from the GNT version. I don't know what version that is, but when I find out, I will put it on the screen. And it says, look up at the sky. Who created the stars you see? The one who leads them out like an army. He knows how many there are and calls each of them by name. His power is so great, not one of them is ever missing. So now I'm turning the page, and we're going into the how others see it. Okay, so now we're jumping into the how others see it portion. So here we go. Janet Chester, BLY, encouraged a wider view of wonder and awakening your sense of wonder, discovering God in the ordinary. Here's what she said, quote, wonder is more than novelty. It's more than thriller, invigorating jolt. Okay, I just like skipped a whole sentence. I don't know why I did that. Let me reread that. Here's what she said, quote, "Wonder is more than novelty. It's more than thrill-seeking, although it can appear as a sudden intrusion or invigorating joke. This merely novel, the brief thrill, is totally self-centered. What makes us feel good or superior? Wonder is deeper, wider, and healthier. Wonder is bumping up against an astounding world of external glory, then reverently entering it." End quote. In Dangerous Wonder, the adventure of childlike faith, Michael Yaconelli challenged readers to revive their weakened childhood wonder. Quote, "We have lost the gleam in our eye. Jesus no longer chases us in the ragged terrain of our souls. We have forgotten what it is like to stand speechless in the presence of Jesus, hearts beating wildly, staggered and stunned by what God is doing in our world. We can rediscover the childlike attribute of our faith called dangerous wonder." End quote. And I underlined that part that said dangerous wonder. So now we're in the zooming in portion. It says, "Today some are saying that King Solomon never lived, but archaeologists are proving differently. The Bible tells us about a time when an Egyptian pharaoh destroyed the city of Gezer, Gezer. Solomon rebuilt Gezer and then also began extensive building projects in Jerusalem, Hazor, and Megiddo. Recent Hazor remains show a quadruple entry gate, guard towers, and a double wall. Further archaeological evidence shows that Megiddo and Gezer were built with the same kind of gates, towers, and walls. Hand-burnished pottery shards have also been found in Gezer and Hazor, dating to the 12th century BC when Solomon ruled. So that part, the zooming in portion is always like a little bit of history, like you get a little bit of a history little lesson about something pertaining to the topic. Okay, so now we're on the Through the Eyes of Your Heart. And there's a little quote at the top, and it says, "God made you beautiful and feminine. Bask in the amazement of all that God has created. Enjoy it. Wonder. Let it lead you to a place of mystery and greater faith." Okay, so now we're in Through the Eyes of Your Heart, and we're going to go ahead and read the 3 questions. You guys always know that I read the answers of the person that wrote in here before me, and then I read mine. She did not answer the first 2 questions, but she did answer the last one, so all the responses will be the responses of myself. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First question says, "Becoming more aware of the many wonders around you can enhance your outlook and your relationship with God. What are a few you can begin with? Where does your amazement send you?" So I put people equals we all are unique, animals, plants, and it leads me to look deeper, but if I don't find, I accept. Okay, and the next question is, some mysteries are hard to get past. What have you found to be beyond your wisdom? How can you turn that into prayer or delightful acceptance? I put how God can make you go through something and just how God can make you go through something just to give be a breakthrough. Hard times slash difficulty equals easy times slash easier and more understanding. So if you guys don't know, when I write notes or when I write in these things, I write like how I take notes. So I've like put equal signs or I put really short. It's never like full blown, so it's always like fragments. Not that I talk like that, but that's just how when I write in here, it just be me and God. So I just be making it real short to the point. But I do say what I need to say. So if you ever be like just hearing me say equals or like just listing stuff instead of like saying complete sentences, that's just how I write. When I journal, I just put like more or less like a list or points. Okay, and the final question says, mysteries remind you that God is big, which can fill you with peace. Where in your life right now do you need a big God who is wonderfully powerful and creative? She did put something. She put overall, I need him in every area of my life. His wonders never cease to amaze me. And I put agree. And in me furthering my education, love life, and finances as well as travel. Okay, guys, so that is the end of this Bible study. I thank you guys for tuning in if you made it here um, all the way to the end. I know these videos are a bit longer and there's nothing really visually to look at. You're just kind of hearing me just talk. But I do appreciate everyone who tunes in and listens because, like I said, these are things that I've already done for myself, but I do them with you guys, and it's kind of like something I kind of get like a self-reflection. So I like kind of doing them with you all. Like I said, I'm very deep into this book, so you guys probably won't catch up with me for a while because like I'm on page, just to show you how far apart we are. I'm on page 242, and we're just finishing up our last Bible study, which makes us where we're going to start on page 44. So we are a bit a ways away, but it doesn't mean we won't catch up. And eventually, I'll be doing them actually on camera, like answer the questions right on the spot for you guys. It won't even be like I'm just reading off my answers. It'll be like where we're doing them literally together. Not that I'm not doing them together, but you know what I mean. So yeah, guys, like I said, I thank you guys for tuning in, and you guys take care. Adios, chicas y chicas. Te amo.